Of all the social media platforms out there, I like Facebook and YouTube the best. They allow me to present the full message, whatever length it needs to be, without word limits or time constraints. I'm author Gwen Elise Clayton, and I am a storyteller. I have 2 novels published so far, and I'm working on the 3rd book of my Rivervine trilogy. I also have a blog at gwenclaytonwrites.com, and I'm on all the regular social media channels. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Goodreads. I've never been into Snapchat. I just couldn't see the value in ephemeral storytelling. I don't like social media management programs. I like Hootsuite or Sprout because they just blast content broadly without using each platform's specific tools. Even if you post to Facebook from Instagram, it's going to use all of the Instagram tags and it doesn't convert to the Facebook tags. And there are more users on Facebook than on Instagram. So I want to make sure I'm using all of the tools and the tagging abilities that come with Facebook. Even after being on YouTube for a year and a half, I still haven't mastered the art of video creation. I'm still working on that. Now with Facebook, I am a power user. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through my process of creating interesting, compelling, and engaging content for Facebook. First, some housekeeping. As the author of the story, and when I say storytelling, I'm not talking about several paragraphs worth of verbiage. I'm talking about just telling your readers or your viewers or your listeners what is going on in the post that you're writing, what is going on in this photo. Why should they stop scrolling and read what you have to say? That is the story that I'm talking about. The first thing you need to know is the difference between personal profiles and business pages. A personal profile is what you get when you sign up for Facebook. This is for personal purposes only. It's not supposed to be used for commercial purposes. This is not, whenever you see a profile that has a business name or a government entity's name or a nonprofit name, they're actually in violation of the Facebook terms of service. So please make a distinction between your business page and your personal profile page. The personal profile is what everybody gets automatically when they join Facebook. And this is for people who actually have birth certificates. This is not for your government organization, your nonprofit group, or your business. It used to be called a wall, and then it was later called a timeline, and now it's just called a profile. So that is the default that you get is a profile. And then if you want to use Facebook to share information and content about your business or your nonprofit organization or your government entity, then you create a separate page, and that has completely different levels of usability and taggability. They get listed differently in the algorithm, and it changes like every day. Like if I told you the differences between personal profiles and business pages today, it could be outdated tomorrow because it changes so fast. But anyhow, there is a difference, and just make sure you're using your personal profile for personal uses and your business page for business uses, because they are 2 different things. Now, when you set up your personal profile, please make sure that your profile picture shows your face from forehead to chin. Now, I know a lot of people get concerned about privacy, and of course that's an issue. I get it. There's a lot of creepers out on Facebook, but in order to use Facebook effectively, people need to know who they're looking at. When you make a post, people they want to be able to look at your eyes primarily. That's the big thing, is you want your eyes to show, because people like to think they're looking at your eyes. Like, avoid wearing sunglasses. Avoid having any kind of thing over your eyes, unless, of course, you're intentionally trying to be discreet. And I get it. I get that people have privacy issues, and that's fine if that's your reason. But if you want to publicly share your stories, then you want to show your face. This way people know if they send you a friend request, they want to know, did I get the right person? Well, if I can see your face, I can recognize you. And when they're interacting with you online, they want to know who they're talking to. And if they're tagging you in a post, they want to make sure they're tagging the right person. And so whenever they go to tag you, your face and your name pops up. So they need to know who they're talking to. And then on your business page, use your company logo and make sure that it's one that works well when it's squeezed in really tight on a phone. People need to be able to recognize your company logo in a square box on their phones. On another note about privacy, I always set my privacy settings to public because I've shared things that were friends only before, and some jerk will take a screenshot of it and go ahead and put it on blast. So it's public anyway. If you are concerned about privacy, please review your privacy settings. If you're on Facebook and you want people to know you are affiliated with a certain business, like say you're a business owner and you want people to come to your profile page and be able to find the business that you are associated with, or your nonprofit organization or your government entity, there is the work and education section of your profile. Go to that. Make sure that your business is listed under work and education, and make sure that it's linked to your business page. And then on the info box on the splash page of your profile, make sure that you include that. That way, when people come to your page, they see, oh, Gwen Clayton, owner of Rivervine Professional Business Writing Services, or Gwen Elise Clayton, author. It's right there on my splash page. On your business page, make sure you have all of those fields filled out. You need to post, if you have a brick and mortar business, which I don't, so I am going to use my friends at Book Tenders in West Virginia as an example. Having your address on there is crucial. This allows people to find you. It'll pull up into their maps application, into their GPS or whatever satellite navigation system they have. I don't have a brick and mortar business and I don't want people coming to my house, so I keep that address off. But if you want people coming to your business, you need to have your address and you need to have your business hours posted, and please make sure that you update them. Updating your business hours on your Facebook page is super easy and it really helps the reader. Okay, so enough housekeeping. Let's get on with crafting the story. Remember, your loyalty as a storyteller is always to the audience. It's not to the business. It's not to the brand. It's not to the monster living under the bed. The storyteller is always in service to their community. So please remember that, and please make sure that you craft stories that people want to read. That is really what it's always going to be about. You can find videos about how to beat the Facebook algorithm. They're a dime a dozen. They're all over YouTube and they're all over the interwebs about how to beat the Facebook algorithm, but nothing will ever replace good, solid storytelling. So be true to your story and you'll do fine. So first piece of advice, say what you have to say in as few words as possible. It's okay to be whimsical a little bit, and it's okay to be silly at times, but don't make it so much that people are going to get bored, or it's going to irritate them, or it's going to distract from your story. Keep it simple and keep it succinct. The first thing you need to do, whatever you write, is you have to hook the reader. You have 3 seconds to keep them from scrolling past your post. So you've got to catch them right away. That means give them the reason for why they should stop scrolling. That needs to be it. So then after you've hooked them, you need to answer the questions: who, what, where, why, when, and how. You don't have to answer all of them if they're not relevant, but those are the main questions you need to answer. About whom are you talking? Where are you? Why are you making this post? Who are you talking to? What event are you at? Those are important things to talk about, and give the details. If you are at an event, tell people, okay, I'm at Race Days in Worthington and it's going on all this weekend. Make sure people know where and when your event is. That's very important to answer those questions. In the post itself, you can use the @ symbol and then start typing the person's name or the place name or the business's name. No space in between, just keep typing, and that will tag them in the text of your post. Now, with profile pages, you can tag your friends or celebrities, but if you're typing on a business page, you can't tag personal profiles. That doesn't work yet. As of this recording, which is August 9th, 2022. Hopefully that is a glitch that Facebook will fix in the future, but as of today, you can't tag personal profiles on a business page. Make sure that you post originally on your business page and then share it to your personal profile. And then when you share it to your personal profile, that's when you can tag your friends. Like I said, be succinct, but you can also be conversational. You don't have to be robotic. It doesn't have to be a press release unless that's what you want it to be. It all depends on the purpose of the post that you're making. Be conversational and be authentic. Make sure that you sound like you, and you're going to sound different than Gwen Elise Clayton. And Gwen Elise Clayton sounds different than Stephen King, and Stephen King sounds different than Nora Roberts. So avoid photo dumps. This is when you just dump everything on your camera and you post it to Facebook. Group your photos by subject and then post the most flattering one picture of that particular subject. Avoid posting pictures of people with their eyes closed or glare in their glasses, which is really hard to avoid, or funny looks on their faces, funny expressions, and double chins. Be cognizant of that. And please, for the love of God, don't post pictures of people's butts. Nobody wants to see that. It's not flattering. When it comes to posting pictures of still life, try to get the whole picture in the frame of the photo, whatever the subject matter is. Try not to have too much negative space, that wasted space, gray space, whatever you want to call it. And try not to have too much clutter. Zoom in on your subject. If you're posting a picture of an event, say you're at a street fair, instead of just posting the narrow, walkway with vendor booths, this wide hallway with the vendor booths, a little bit of vendor booths, try to go to one side and get an angled shot so that the vendor booths on one side are shown, and then you can see a little bit of the vendor booths on the other side. So that tells a better story. If you're going to post a selfie, make sure that you have, instead of having your whole face in the frame, make sure you have some stuff going on in the background so that tells the story. You want to say, hey, I am at this place, or I am doing this thing. When you post photos, and this is why it's important to do this in the native app, because I don't think Hootsuite does this. They might. I don't know. I haven't used it in ages. But you need to add alternative text. What this does is it allows screen readers to be able to tell someone who is blind or visually impaired what is going on in that photo. For example, if I have a selfie of me standing in front of the stone circle, I would write in the alternative text field, a woman standing in front of stone circle under the trees, or something like that. If you want to add alt text to a previous photo, you just go up to the three dots in the upper right corner and just say edit alt text, and you can add your text that way. And it just has to be a brief description so that if someone can't see the photo, they can hear a description of it. And that's the point. And then that's important to be an inclusive storyteller. So let me briefly show you how I would craft stories on my personal profile, my author page, and my writing services page. The first thing I want to do is review my photos and decide which ones I want to use. So here I have a photo of my friends Jim and Brenda at Sweet Bee Gardens. And this is a good photo because it shows everything on both sides of their booth. And you can see their wares. You can see the booth next to her, the Mary Kay consultant on the left, and to the right, there's a clothing vendor. So that's a good photo. Our next photo, same scene, but this is a little bit cut off. So comparing the two, this one, there's an awful lot up here, an awful lot of the top, and their wares are down at the bottom a little bit, but you can see the Mary Kay consultant on the left, and you see the clothing vendor on the right. The next one, their booth is cut off a little bit at the end, but their wares are more centered, so you can see them better. There's less of the top of their canopy. It's more focused on them. So I think that's the one that I'm going to use. One of the items they had for sale were these dried green beans called leather breeches. I thought that was clever, so I took a picture of it. That's not something you see in California that I know of. I'm always happy to promote local authors, and Farmer Shane, who is Jim and Brenda's son, he wrote a couple books, so I want to make sure that I get a picture of them. The coal miner's cake is really this wonderful chocolate cake with red tart cherries, and what else is in there? It's got chocolate chips in the frosting and walnuts. It's delicious. I downloaded the flyer for the race days event off of the City of Worthington's Facebook page. I wanted to make sure I included that so people could see the schedule. Sometimes I do food shots, sometimes I don't, but this one I took because pulled pork barbecue with slaw. We call it slaw out here. It's not coleslaw, it's just slaw. So pulled pork barbecue sandwich with the side of slaw and my husband's signature drink, Mountain Dew. Food is very much a part of any kind of event. So to get something that is signature to that event or that region at least, that's an important thing to capture. Here's a selfie of me. I'm not wearing any makeup. It was way too hot and humid, and if I had worn makeup, it just would have melted off and my mascara would have turned to raccoon eyes. But you can see in the background, you've got the Flatwoods Lions Club, their food booth. You've got Sweet Bee over here. You've got a woman who is, at first it looks like she's looking at this sweater right here, but she's actually talking to Brenda. And then you've got the Mary Kay vendor in the back, and then some other vendors out here. So that tells the story that, hey, I'm at race days and it's summertime and it's hot and humid and it's too hot and humid for makeup. Here is the wall of vendors. So I'm on my personal page on Facebook, and I want to go to photos, albums, create album, album name, Race Days 2022, and upload photos or videos. And now my so I want this and this. Open. And wait for them to upload. And write a description for each one. Now watch, it's not going to let me tag Brenda in this. It makes me so mad. Thanks to Brenda Fields of Sweet Bee Gardens for letting me know about this event. Here she is, right, with hubby Jim. And we're gonna hit, where are you? We are at City of Worthington, Kentucky. And it's not on here. This makes me so mad. They're at Worthington City Park. That's where they are. I have an album called Race Days 2022. And I wrote, the city of Worthington, Kentucky celebrated Race Days August 4th through 6th with a street fair in Worthington City Park. And when you look at the photos, thanks to Brenda Fields of Sweet Bee Gardens for letting me know about this event. Here she is, right, with her hubby Jim. One of the interesting items Sweet Bee had at race day was a jar of dried green beans they called leather britches. Always happy to promote local authors. Here are a couple books written by Farmer Shane. Coal miner's cake is another interesting local food made with chocolate and tart cherries. Here is the schedule for Race Days 22. Wouldn't be a street fair in this neck of the woods without pulled pork barbecue, slaw, and Mountain Dew. It was too hot for makeup, but it didn't keep me from enjoying myself. Lots of vendors out in the park today. And now, here's what I did for my Gwenelise Clayton author page. And this one, I wanted to show how in my Rivervine trilogy books, the main characters are druids. And so I found this stone circle at one of the local parks in Huntington, West Virginia. So I had to go do a whole druid themed photo shoot. I mean, they even had a lending library. Druids are really big on reading. And they had a chessboard design on the tables at the park. And druids are really into games of strategy. They had these big tall trees. Druids love trees. Then they had these paths, and they had stone bridges and stone stairway. It was really quite impressive. The only reason I mentioned the litter bug and the fact that I'm disabled and I can't access some of these, like the stairway and some of the nature paths, is because as an author, I want to speak out more about, I don't want to say social justice because I don't want to virtue signal, but I think it's important to have a moral of the story. And so as an author, that's one of the issues, in the moral issues that I want to make people more aware of, is that the built environment excludes people with disabilities. And I also want to call attention to the importance of not littering, because that's a bad thing. So now let me show you what I wrote for my Gwenelise Clayton author page. How druid is this? A stone circle surrounded by trees, has a lending library, chessboard tables, and plants in the center. At Ritter Park in Huntington, West Virginia. I was disappointed to find debris left over from some sort of sparkly plastic litter bug. The bridge leading to the stairs leading to the rose garden was impressive, albeit inaccessible for someone like me with physical limitations. But the butterfly crossing my path filled me with a sense of serendipity. I'll take escapism where I can get it. A giant tree stands guard in front of the stone circle at Ritter Park. Lending library outside the stone circle at Ritter Park. And change the alt text. Bookshelf at park. And now this is what I wrote for my professional business writing services page. Now the goal with this page is to promote other local businesses. I'm not trying to portray any kind of persona like the druid thing with my author page. I'm actually trying to encourage people to come check out this business. So this is what I wrote about the new bookstore in Barboursville, West Virginia. Book Tenders opened a couple months ago in Barboursville, West Virginia, not far from our home in Ashland, Kentucky. It is a glorious place filled with books, wine, beer, coffee, and a dog named Buddy. So the photo of the sandwich board says Beer, wine, and coffee. That would draw me inside. The local authors section is prominently displayed with a Read Local canvas bag and a newspaper clipping of one of the authors. Iced Americano on the bar. Notice the pages from famous books inlaid into the counter. I'm not sure that's grammatically correct. Meet my new friend, Buddy. Always get pictures of the animals. Excellent wine list. I highly recommend the Côtes du Rhône. Ashley Skeen and Mandy Cunningham are the owners of the new bookstore, wine bar, and coffee bar in Barbersville, West Virginia. Mandy pours me a wonderful glass of Côtes du Rhône. And that's it. Now you can get to work crafting your own stories on Facebook. I look forward to reading what you come up with. If you found this video interesting or informative, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the Rivervine YouTube channel for more quality content from the Utopia of Rivervine. I'm your host, Gwen Elise Clayton. I post videos every Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.